What's up, guys? Thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. This is episode 10, season 14, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm kind of bored. But we here. So let's get into the review. Sometimes before we get into the review, we get a little spicy, just a little bit. And I just got a few things to talk to y'all about. So on February the 4th, Andy sent out his ceremonial tweet. So it looks like they're about to get ready to film the reunion. So I'm guessing if they film it in February, that means we'll get it probably like mid-March, early April. Because I'm trying to compare it to Real Housewives of Potomac because they filmed theirs on January the 9th. And then we're getting the first part of the reunion on February the 16th. So, if my math is mathing, we'll be seeing the reunion here soon, come middle of March, early April. So let's move on to my next thing. So it was really interesting because Kyle was on Watch What Happens Live, and there was two clips that I seen like shopped around that I want to talk about. One is where she addressed what Bose said about her being cold, and the other one is where she addresses Sutton and Garcelle about, her apologizing to them, last episode. So let me start off with the Sutton and Garcelle piece.
So, Kyle, when you met with Garcelle, Sutton, and Erica to apologize about walking out, the way I know you haven't seen the last few episodes of the show.
Last five, I've not watched.
Yes, okay. Wow. You watched tonight's, I know, but some of the other women thought that you were cleaning up, like that you were doing damage control, and that you were kind of gathering your allies in having that meal.
By inviting them to apologize?
Yes.
I felt like everything I did, they were looking for, fault in me, no matter what I did. I was apologizing to them not for leaving, because I needed to leave for my, I wasn't equipped to deal with that, the women. Every time I went into the group, I was ambushed every single time, and I just wasn't strong enough to deal with that. So I wanted to apologize how I went about it. And then Sutton had to call me out saying, you should be apologizing for walking out. How many times has she walked out? I mean, literally, right. I've lost count.
Right.
I'm like, that was the first time I've walked out in 14 years. So,
right.
No, I was not trying to gather my allies.
So here's my thing. I think it is kind of crazy that Kyle is acknowledging that she walked away from the show for a week. I didn't think that she would ever admit that, but she really is like, my mental health couldn't take it, so I had to get up out of there. I do think it's kind of funny that Andy and Kyle are trying to be like, well, Sutton has always walked away. But then when you think about it, yes, Sutton has walked away, but she returns the next day to go to work. So to me, this is kind of comparing like apples to oranges in the fact that, ma'am, you walked away and then took a week-long vacation from work. We've never heard of Sutton doing that. Because I think if she had done that, Kyle would be throwing that in Sutton's face and being like, how dare you come at me? But all you can say is, well, how many times has she walked away? And I think Sutton's gripe is, girl, you walked away and you didn't come back to work. When you're always telling her, stop walking away from things, be honest, face things head on. So it is hypocritical. On top of that, I don't think it's a far reach for the women to be like, yeah, girl, it did feel like you were trying to rally the troops around you. Because if anything, you should have honestly apologized to Dorit and Bose. Really, the first person I think she should have apologized to was Bose, because you did all that carrying on at her place. Like you ran out, you went in and out her house, you making a scene in her front yard. That is the first person out of this entire group you should have gave an apology to for your outburst. And then you should have followed that up with another apology to Dorit and called it a day. So just calling Garcelle, Erica, and Sutton there to apologize, it does feel like you're only trying to get the people that you are somewhat cool with, who you kind of have friendship in right now, who doesn't really have beef with you, to be on your side. And then to find out that she stopped watching the show after episode 3, and I had to go in my notes and be like, what was episode 3? Episode 3 was Oceanside. I think that's what it's called. Like when Kathy took all of them down to the beach and Dorit and Sutton got into it on the bus. That's the last episode. That was where Kyle stopped watching the episodes, and then I guess because she was on Watch What Happens Live, she chose to watch this episode, which would be episode 10, but I'm like, girl, you really stopped watching? Like that, like between that, I don't know. Maybe she was embarrassed by her behavior, or maybe she does have like really bad anxiety and the whole situation pulls her to a dark place. But I definitely wouldn't have stopped watching the episodes, because when it comes time for the reunion, I need to be prepared to defend myself. But that's just how I see it. So next, let's talk about what Bose said about Kyle.
Experience.
What was your reaction to Bose questioning your character with your sister Kathy and calling you cold?
That was very interesting. It actually hurt my feelings because I had a completely different, experience. I had a great conversation with her at her home, and we had texted each other so many times, and I was really excited to have her be a part of the show. I went into her room at Oceanside and told her how excited I was and how amazing I thought she was, and so I was really surprised to see that, actually.
So here's my thing. I think both Kyle and Bose have their feelings about each other are valid. I think it's valid for Kyle to be like, girl, that's kind of hurtful when I've been open in the sense of like championing you being a part of this group. I said you're a great addition, and I've texted you, called you, and we've been pretty cordial on the phone. But I do think Kyle has slightly a fence up when it comes to Bose, because Bose seems to only give Dorit grace in this group and really is riding hard for her. And right now, Kyle and Dorit don't see it for each other. You know what I'm saying? And I can see Bose kind of peeping that coldness and being like, oh, okay, I don't get why she being this way towards me. But then Bose will contradict herself and be like, well, clearly Kyle knows that I'm getting closer to Dorit, and maybe that's why she doesn't want to share with me. So you already have the answer as to why she don't, like, why y'all aren't like meshing the way that you probably would want, or you feel the energy from her is different. And I know I was bringing up being a Capricorn, but I can be like Kyle sometimes. If I feel like you don't really like me, or you're cool with someone that I don't really see it for, but you've never done anything towards me, I will be cordial. I will be kind towards you because you ain't harmed me in any type of way. But it could come as me being cold because I'm not really giving you what I give other people. And maybe that's what Bose is picking up. But I also feel like she don't like her or Sutton. Because on the after show, the way Bose called Sutton cowardly for not inviting, them to Augusta was weird to me. So let me play that clip for you guys.
Look, my position has always been that she can invite whomever she wants to that type of trip because she was going for very painful reasons, very personal reasons. Now, aside from the fact that she'd asked us all to be sisters and all of us to share all kind of information, I understand when you're like, hey, look, I can't take the whole group. But then my feeling is that then you should just communicate that.
We didn't find out until Kathy told us. Have you caught up with Kyle?
You know, she's busy, and I guess they left today, Sutton and Garcelle.
They went to Augusta.
I didn't even know.
I'd rather that somebody said to my face that I'm negative energy. Go ahead and say it.
I dare you.
Without saying it, I think it's cowardly.
Bose is starting to annoy me the same way that Garcelle and Sutton were annoying me about being a little bothered about Bose and Dorit's friendship. Now she's starting to annoy me at the fact that she seems pressed and bothered, and so does Dorit. So both of them, about Sutton not inviting them down to Augusta to see her surly, mean daughter of the Confederacy mama. Like, why do you care? It's clear as day that neither Dorit or Bose like Sutton. So why do you care that you were not invited? Why are you giving this pressed energy, Bose? And then to say that, like, if I'm negative energy, just say that. And then to go and be like, I think it's very cowardice. And you got Dorit being like, she would never say that to your face. Girl, what? Why would she need to? You already giving off the negative energy. Why do I need to tell you that? The same way you said Kyle is cold towards you, maybe you're being cold towards Sutton and she can feel it. And she's just like, I'm cool on you when it comes to that. And then to bring up, well, like, she's the one that brought up the sisterhood. You, Erica, and Dorit have said in your confessionals that she's not the person to lead this whole sisterhood situation. You even shaded her with your event that you did last episode, or the episode before last, being like, well, some people throw out good ideas, but they don't really know how to like execute it. So why do you care? The whole sisterhood thing isn't even a valid critique because you don't think she's the one to lead it. you're being weird and you're starting to get on my nerves. Okay. Like, still like her, but she's starting to get on my nerves because it feels like Bose is like uber defensive towards Sutton, and Sutton hasn't even done anything to her. It'd be different if something happened, but nothing has really happened. Like, nothing has happened. So I'm just confused why she's like already got her guard up. And we've seen her be that way in the confessional, and we're seeing her do it now. And I'm just like, chill out. just chill out for a minute, bro. Chill out. So that's all I got. Let's get into this review about this episode. So it opens up and we see a montage of PK and Dorit's like special moments from when they got on the show to all the way till now. So it's like their wedding anniversary, her at the fashion show, him supporting her there, then the break-in and the robbery, then to them talking about her PTSD, then him being mad about her being high maintenance, then them arguing during couples counseling, to, you know, now to them getting like separating from one another or possibly heading to divorce. So then we have this one scene of Kathy inviting Bose to come to her house for dinner. She low-key tried to shade Bose and be like, are those puka shells on your neck or pearls? She said, no, girl, these are diamonds. Okay, diamonds. And Kathy said, oh. I said, yeah, Kathy, she may not have your type of money, but Bose got money. So then we have this scene of Garcelle and Sutton where Sutton is inviting Garcelle to come down to Augusta with her so that she can help her talk to her mom or be there for like moral support while she talks to her mom. So Sutton does not have the best relationship with her mom, Miss Reba, and not the nice Reba, not Miss I'm a survivor, not that Reba. Miss Reba, who's 82 years old, and really her and Sutton have a very awkward and like contentious relationship. Sutton says, you know, my mom always is praising Christian. We see a flashback when they were in Oceanside where Sutton is like, I don't really even know if my mom really likes me. Like, she never tells me she loves me. She's never told me that she's proud of me. She was like, I don't even know if I've ever made her proud of me, but I just feel like she doesn't really like me. And Garcelle says Sutton, and she was like, I really don't. So then Sutton says that she wants to go down to Augusta to talk to her mom because she's just like, my mom's 82. She's getting up there in age, and having talked to Kyle and Garcelle and them losing their parents, their moms, she's just kind of like it's pushing her to actually like want to build a better relationship with her mom. So she also says in her confessional, which I do like this confessional on Sutton with this hair. I said, okay, Sutton, you're looking a little youthful right here. She just ends up saying how pretty much her mom, she's resentful of her mom. Like, her mom is always praising Christian. Like, did you see what Christian did in the paper? Did you see Christian do this? And it's like, she's never really done that for her. So they end up inviting Kyle on FaceTime, and we move on from their scene. We then have this. So the next scene we have is of Bose going over to Dorit's house, and Bose is just trying to catch up with Dorit and see where she's at. She ends up saying how much fun she had at Garcelle's event on the beach. And then Dorit brings up how rude Sutton was for cutting her off. And I was just kind of like, well, Dorit, why didn't you check her in that moment? Because you will be well within your right to have cut Sutton out or went off on her, because it was rude. Even if it does seem like Dorit probably was talking for a long time, because it seems like Sutton was trying to figure out how to interrupt so they could get on the road. The way she did it was rude. So I just feel like you waiting to talk about it now. I'm like, girl, you should have yelled at her then. You know what I'm saying? So they then start talking about PK, Jaggard, and her. So Bose is like, so did you talk to PK about what your son asked you? And she said, well, I texted PK because right now he's in London. I got no response. So she said, honestly, her and PK haven't really talked since he stormed out of the therapy session that they had. So she was just like, she don't know. So then she was like, Dorit's like, I got mad. So I texted him and was like, really, PK, no response. And then he ended up responding back to her like, girl, I'm at a wedding. I'll talk to you when I get time. And Bose is like, wow, really? And she said, yeah. So then Bose says, my concern is you being prepared. Because what if he comes back from London and he serves you papers? Like, what happens next? So then Dorit ends up being like, that's what I've been worried about, and kind of filled with anxiety. And I'm like, okay, to mitigate that anxiety, just go to the courthouse and file paperwork first. Like, what we doing? I just, what are we doing, ma'am? So then the next scene we see is of Keely and Bose going out on a date. I don't really care about this relationship, if I'm going to be honest. Something about Keely seems opportunistic. Like, and it's also weird to me that Bose is talking about getting married and having a baby when it's like the next preview we see, she says that Keely and her have never even said, I love you. So I'm like, why are we rushing? And then she uses the infamous like phrase, we're in our love bubble. And we see what's happening with Teresa. So I'm just kind of like, are you confusing me, Miss Bose? So they're sitting there and he's like, what are we toasting to? And they're like toasting to their relationship. And she says, it's hard being a 40, a late woman in her 40s to find somebody in LA who is authentic and real. Like that's really impossible. So she's happy that she has Keely. But then she talks about her fertility where she's just kind of like, we're talking about all of this fertility stuff, but I feel like we're jumping over hurdles where she's like, I'm at a later age. Like if I'm talking about like carrying a baby, I need to do that now. On top of that, like I don't want to have a baby out of wedlock. He doesn't seem like he's really ready to get married. He even thanks her for like allowing him to go at his own pace in their relationship. But she's also kind of like, well, my pace and his pace are two totally different things. And he's like, I'm not going to say that I won't waste your time because like, that's what happens, but I'm grateful for you. I said, girl, what? This don't make sense to me. This relationship doesn't make sense to me. He is wasting her time. Either y'all gonna get married and have babies or not. And to have a baby in your late 40s, I feel like for me, the cutoff is 45. Like if I don't have kids by the time I'm 45, then it just wasn't meant to be. Maybe I just need to adopt or start fostering kids. But I don't want to be pregnant at 47. I don't. I feel like I'd be irritated. I'd be so irritated, But she is really adamant about like, if she wants to have kids, he has to marry her. Then they end the conversation where he says he thanks God every day for her. But then he was like, even if I didn't believe in God or didn't do that, I would always tell you that. I said, girl, what? Bose, get out this love bubble. Something ain't right about that man. What does he do for a living? Because if I knew what he was doing for a living, maybe I wouldn't feel like he's an opportunist. Maybe that's because I'm like, y'all over in Zambezia or in Africa somewhere together. And I'm just kind of like, did he pay for this or did you? We get is Mauricio and Kyle meeting up at the gun range. And she's like, Mauricio just wants to make sure that I can protect myself after what happened. And they talk about a burglary that happened in 2018 where like basically all her purses and stuff got stolen. That was around the time when there were like a lot of break-ins up in like California and in LA. So she's like, yeah, all of the stuff that like they had seen during season 18 was gone. So we see Kyle, she has a pretty good aim. We then see Mauricio do the same thing while they're at the range. And then they have a moment where they talk and he's asking her like where she's at with things. Like, so how are you? And she's like, I'm okay. She ends up asking him how he's doing in his condo. And he's like, it's good. I'm just, my refrigerator is full of a lot of eggs and soup. I said, girl, what? And she said, soup? And he said, yeah, a lot of eggs and soup. And so I think he ends up asking her, how is it being like living without the girls? And she was just like, it's kind of weird. She's like, everybody is gone. Like I'm in the same house where like this was our family home and you got the rest of the family is, moving on with their lives while I'm still here. And she's like, it's just hard. And then Mauricio can tell that Kyle's about to get emotional. So he pulls her close to him and starts hugging on her and she starts crying and he's like, it's okay. And then he like is consoling her and she's just like, she doesn't want to cry, but she's having a hard time with where she's at in her life. She was like, she's struggling with this new normal. And to be honest, I'm kind of confused with Kyle's emotions because I'm like, isn't she the one that filed for separation? Like, because I feel like if you're the one that filed for separation, I would think that meant that you really thought about whether or not you really want to be with this person. And like, y'all are trying to figure out what to do. Like, I don't know, because it feels like maybe she has like buyer's remorse, because it seems like last season she was really okay with them not being together, especially because she had Morgan. Now it seems like because she doesn't have Morgan, it's like she's living the reality of like, oh my gosh, like I really might be alone. And Mauricio seems to be doing fine by himself. It's kind of weird, because I'm just like, what did you expect to happen? You know, like, did you expect him, like, maybe she wanted him to chase her because she's never really felt chased in the relationship. I don't know. But it just was kind of throwing me off that she was just like, she was crying and very upset, and that she's struggling so hard with everybody moving on. Maybe it's too much change at once. Maybe that's what it is. Like, she's very overwhelmed with all of this, because a lot of change all at once is a very overwhelming feeling. Because if you think about it, her best friend unfortunately took her own life. Then her and Mauricio separate. She gets this new girlfriend, Morgan. Her daughter, like, her daughters are getting up there in age. Like I said, I think her kids are between 16 and 34 or something like that. So her 34-year-old and her 27-year-old, they're moving out. Her 24-year-old is moving out. Now it's like, okay, I got one child left for 4 more years, and then she's going to college. My husband is no longer here. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe she's just, because she keeps saying it's like grieving the loss of somebody that's here. I think it's like, maybe it's too much all at once. I don't know. But her tears were very like, wow, like, you really struggling. And I mean, like, we know she's struggling, but it's just kind of like, I guess I'm just kind of confused, because it's like, you're the one that filed for separation. So why are you struggling? Because I feel like if you file for separation or divorce, you're ready for this to be over. Now time for the girls to go to Augusta. So we see Sutton, Garcelle, and Kyle get to the airport. It's 4 a.m. in the morning. Garcelle is like, girl, I thought like flying private, not commercial. Like, I thought we was about to be in the laps of luxury, because, you know, this is a Sutton vacation. No, that's not what they was on. Sutton said, girl, we flying commercial, and let's go. The luxury you gonna get is being in this private suite, so you got to wait with the commoners, but you getting on this commercial plane. So they get on the plane, they get to Augusta. Ivy and Junebug Carter Cash is already there. Shouts out to Sutton's dog. And they get in the car and they head there. We see pictures of Sutton, like a montage of her growing up in Augusta with her brother, her and her mom when she was 2 years old, as well as a picture of her dancing when, you know, we know Sutton used to dance ballet. So they get to her house. It's a nice home. Honestly, anytime I see big columns like that, I either think of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the White House, or a plantation. Them the three that pop into my head. But I thought the house was nice. So they get into the house. Garcelle and Kyle's like, oh, this is really nice. It has like a Southern feel, but like with modern. It's like Southern and modern mixed together. And she shows them the rooms, and everyone's like, okay, cool. Next thing you know, Miss Reba get in there. And you could tell Reba stresses Sutton out, because the moment she saw her mom, her eyes got really big. We also see Reba's friend Jim, who is given that might be her boyfriend or something, and they live in that back house together. But they come inside. Reba hugs Garcelle, and it's very like, okay, girl, here you go, pat, pat. Then she sees Kyle, and she's like, oh my gosh, you're so beautiful. And so Garcelle said, why didn't she ain't say that to me? I said, girl, you know why. You know why, ma'am. And so they're talking, and Garcelle ends up telling Reba, oh, I heard so much about you. And Reba said, I've heard so much about you too as well. And Garcelle said, I hope it's pleasant. She said, we'll see. I said, oh, and you saw Sutton do this to her face, like, oh God. Okay. So then Garcelle goes and gets this gift that she brought for Reba. Mind you, after that whole exchange, you don't call me pretty. You don't call me pretty. You say, we'll see whether or not you think I'm cool or not. You don't get no gift. And then come to find out, I saw people online saying on the after show that Reba re-gifted Garcelle's gift and gave it to Sutton. I said, yeah, girl, she wouldn't have got nothing out of me. So Garcelle goes and gives Reba the gift. Reba's like, girl, what is this? What's this? It got, because everyone started smiling. And so she was like, is this a prank? It got snakes in it, lizards, like, what's going on? And she was like, no. And so then she opens it and she said, oh, a scarf. Nice. That reminds me of that TikTok of that little kid. They give him an avocado. He was like, "Oh, it's an avocado. Thanks." That's the energy that it gave. So Garcelle said, "Girl, I went to Saks. I got it boxed and everything. I should have did what Kyle did, not bring nothing." If you're gonna be ungrateful, Reba's like, "Oh, I could wear it like a sarong." I said, "Okay, Miss Reba, okay." So then they were like, "Well, Reba, where do you stay?" And she said, "Oh, out back." Like she didn't, like Sutton didn't tell you. So they go to their backyard. It's a nice size backyard, and then there's a house that's all the way out back, and we find out that that's Reba's home, and so. Reba says, when Sutton and Christian were flying back and forth, they decided they needed a place to stay and they needed someone to take care of the house. So I decided, I'm going to stay back here because this house is lovely and the right size for me. They're like, okay. So then Garcelle ends up saying how she admires Sutton and loves her 3 kids. And she was like, "Yeah, I love my grandkids, but James is weird." And Sutton's like, "Mom." And Garcelle said, "I got one of those weird ones too." I said, "Girl, what?" So then Kyle is like, "I don't know if I should say one of my kids is weird so it's not awkward." She said, so then Sutton's like, "Mom, we gotta go. We got dinner. We gotta go." So as they're walking away, Sutton is like, "I don't even know why she called James weird. James is the cool one in school. Like, what's going on here? Like, for real?" And then Garcelle starts laughing, especially in her confessional, because she was just kind of like, because producers were like, "Which one of your child is weird?" She says Jax. That's the one we all call weird. And so they go inside and start to get ready. Scenes, and we go back to Beverly Hills, where Kathy has invited Erica, Dorit, and Bose to her house. She just got back from Capri, and basically she loves pasta. She loves all the lemons that were out there and everything, so she wants to have like a lemon pasta party, and she invited them to her place. So we see her, I guess it's like her branding ambassador we saw last time in the beginning of this season that had the suitcases that they were handing out to everybody to go to Oceanside, and she's getting this table ready and everything. And Kathy is just like, when I plan a party, it has to be down to like perfection. So we see Dorit get there first, then we see Bose, and then we see Erica. And so everyone's like hugging on each other, and then they sit down, and I think Dorit ends up asking Erica, "Well, when's the last time you talked to Kyle? I haven't talked to her in a while." And Kathy ends up being like, "Well, I think she's fine. They just went to Augusta. They're in Augusta right now." So then Bose and Dorit are like, "Augusta?" So then Erica's like, "Oh yeah, like Garcelle told me that they went to Augusta." So now Dorita's like, "I'm kind of surprised she didn't ask you to go to Augusta, Erica. Like, isn't that's your gig?" Because we know Erica she was born in Georgia, but I don't think in Augusta. I think she says she's like 90 miles north of where Augusta is, in a different city. So she was like, yeah. And I was like, "Why y'all mad?" Because it's not like y'all would want to go. We head back to Augusta and we see Kyle, Sutton, and Garcelle going to this like mom and pop restaurant called Luigi's. The food looked like it probably was hitting on something because it was packed in there. Now, mind you, I scanned the room and I did not see a speck of pepper in there except one waiter. Okay, I said just a sea of salt. That's all I see, just a sea of salt, okay? But the place was packed, so I bet you the food is good. So they sit down, order a few things, and Garcelle ends up telling Sutton, "Hey, when I was with Erica, when we got IV done, it looks like Kathy had like a spa day, but they just didn't make it into the episode." She was like, "I told Erica that me, you, and Kyle were going to Augusta." And so Sutton is like, "Well, me and Erica have like this push and pull relationship." I said, "Girl, you have that with Kyle sitting right next to you." But I guess you were just like, "I'd rather have y'all here than them." Mind you, I wouldn't be explaining myself. I would just be like, "I wanted to invite you too, so I did. Let's move on." So then we head back to Beverly Hills. We see the lady sitting down at Kathy's place. They're starting to get served their food and things of that nature, and they're just sitting there enjoying each other. Kathy ends up letting it be known that like she really likes Italian wine because she is Northern Italian. But then out of nowhere, Kathy says, because I think what's her name, Erica ends up being like, "Well, how did you find out you were North Italian? Did you do like a 23andMe, an ancestry, a DNA kit?" She was like, "No, she met some like shaman lady." while she was over there, and the lady knew everything about her and then told her that she was that she was like Chinese, like the 3000 BC dynasty. I don't know. All I know is when Bo said, girl, what? No. 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 I said, girl, what? I said, Kathy, what the hell? What? Bows was like, no, no. You got Dorit's eyes just getting big. Like, did she really just say that? I was so weak. I was to Augusta, and we see Garcelle basically ask Sutton, how are you? And Sutton's like, what you mean? She was like, how are you? She was like, oh, you mean about the Reba thing? And she said, yeah. And Sutton says, I love my mom, but we, it's a lot. She also explains that me and my mom are different. She was like, I feel like I wear my heart on my sleeve, and she doesn't. She's just very like hard and stoic. And Garcelle ends up saying, no, I think your mom loves you, and I think she cares about you. I just think that's just her way, like her being hard. I don't think she purposely did that. That's just the way that she's showing up, And so Sutton ends up saying that like she doesn't feel like her and her mom are the same. But then Garcelle says in her confessional, Sutton and her mom are more alike than she probably wants to realize. She was like, I see two people who don't want to apologize so they can move forward. And she actually tells Sutton, it's like, girl, you're more like your mom than you realize. They even flash back to the whole like name them situation. And I wonder if that's why Sutton gets so defensive and upset when the women try to like critique her behavior. Like she probably hates that she has these outbursts because they might remind her of her mother, and she's probably is trying her best not to behave in that way. But when you grow up with someone like that, it's kind of hard to change that behavior unless you acknowledge it, because she really feels like she's different from her mom, but there are certain traits of Sutton that is Reba. And that's just what it is. So then Kyle brings up the whole situation that happened, I think it was like 2 seasons or 3 seasons ago, where Sutton opened up her Sutton store and she brought her mom there, and she just really wanted her mom to be like happy for her and like, really congratulate her. And her mom was just kind of like, oh, this cute. All right. And she told her mom that. She got really emotional. She said, I put a lot of money in this and a lot of time in this, and I just really want you to give me something. And her mom was like, And Sutton was like, really? And then Reba basically was like, are you done? I said, ooh, cold-blooded, bro. And the thing about it is, I remember that, I don't know what season it was. Maybe it was the same season, this season, where Sutton was talking to her mom about her dad, taking his life. And her mom was very like unfeeling, uncaring, basically told Sutton, you don't know what type of life I had with your daddy. You know what I'm saying? So like, I feel differently about the man. And I oftentimes feel like, yes, Reba could have those feelings, like if she didn't like, her husband or anything like that, but you're sitting in front of your daughter who's breaking down, needing some validation from you about like the death of her father by way of his own hand, and you can't give her nothing, and you supposed to be working in the field of like mental health. My God. So Sutton is just like, yeah, I just wanted her to be proud of me. And you could tell that Sutton was about to like cry, but then she like pulled it in because she was about to get worked up, and then she sucked it in to like calm herself down and be like, yeah, I just wanted her to acknowledge it. I just wanted her to be proud of me. Like, give me something. And Sutton says, she's always happy and proud of Christian, but I can't get none of that. Like, maybe I just want my mom's respect, something from her to show me that she really cares. So then Sutton brings up like, I don't understand why my mom can't be happy for me, that like I'm out here on my own. I'm raising 3 beautiful kids. I have this store. Like, when are you going to be proud of me and not my ex-husband? So then Garcelle says she want to talk to Reba. I said, girl, for what? For what? And I was with Kyle. Garcelle, why are you trying to meddle in something that is very complex? It does not need any of us to be a part of. You know what I'm saying? And so she was like, well, I just want to tell her that I talked to you and tell her what you're looking for from her. And so Kyle said, girl, well, let me know when you do that so I'm not around. Please. I said, yeah, girl, because not me. It wouldn't be me. Get back to Beverly Hills. And we start off the conversation at the table again with Bose ending up asking Kathy, so is Kyle an open person? Because I feel like she been real cold towards me. But then in the confessional, Bose ends up saying maybe Kyle is cold towards me, mainly because I've gotten really close to Dorit, but I feel like that's real high schoolish. And so Kathy ends up explaining, like, Kyle's just going through a lot right now, so she probably doesn't mean to be that way. When I tell you, Bose, but like, Kathy could not be my sister, because there's no way Bose would be in my house asking me about my sister, because the first thing that would have came out my mouth is, my sister is a very open and warm person. She only is cold towards people that make her feel uncomfortable and unsafe. So what did you do to her? That'd have been the first question out of my mouth. Because what you're not about to do is ask me about my sister, and I don't even know you like that. But that's how you know them Richard sisters, they not locked in. Because I'm locked in with my sister, because that's the first thing that would have came out my mouth. So what have you done to my sister to make her feel uncomfortable around you? Quickly answer the question, or you could get about my house. See, I don't play about mine. I don't play about my sister. So I'm just kind of like, okay. So then Kathy ends up saying that, Kyle's just going through a lot. And so then Dorita's like, I don't even know what's going on with Kyle. And Kathy's just like, the divorce and all this situation with her and Mauricio is a lie. Like, she is living her life, not understanding or now coming to the terms with, I'm about to have a new normal where the person that I was with for like the majority of my adulthood, I'm no longer with. And that's something she never expected. So then I think that's when Kathy ends up asking Dorit, well, what about you? What about, how are you? How's everything going on? And Dorit said, girl, I'm going through it. I'm going through it. Now, mind you, production ends up asking Kathy, well, you and Rick Hilton have been married for a long time. What do you like lend that to? And Kathy's just like, we love being around each other. I said, okay, girl. I mean, that is true. You need that. So then Dorit ends up just saying, like, in the beginning, me and PK were friends. Like, we said we were going to separate, then come back together, but figure our stuff out. But now it's starting to feel like I'm his enemy. So she was like, I've protected him from so much. They talk about when PK got that DUI back in 2022, and her and Garcelle went out to dinner, and Garcelle was asking her, like, girl, what's up with that? And she was like, well, it's not really a DUI, because when he got to the police station, he passed the breathalyzer, so he should be fine. So then I think Kathy ends up asking her, is PK like a good father? And she ends up saying wrong, like he's not a good father. And everybody at the table was like, oh. And even Kathy said, oh, so you going there with it. You really going there with it. So then Dorit ends up saying no. She was like, before all of this, I probably would have said yes because I was protecting him. But no, like, their PK at times will go to London for like weeks on end, kids wondering where he is. And I'm over here lying to them saying, like, daddy's trying to get in contact with you. You were asleep, you were doing this, you were doing that. But honestly, he hasn't called. He hasn't made the effort to. And I said, ooh, girl. So you really going there with it. So everybody is just sitting at the table. And so Erica ends up saying, like, this is what happens. Like, the gloves are coming off. And she looked good in this leopard. She looked real good in this leopard. She was just like, the gloves are coming off. And now everybody is like fighting. She's like, he sent this nasty email, because then Dorit starts to explain how she sent this email where it was all about their finances, where like in a couple of months you will be responsible for the mortgage and for these financial things. And then they start talking about custody and stuff, and he was like, well, if you don't want to do what I asked you to do, then I'm a file for divorce. And Erica says, I've never seen a good divorce unless the husband was dead. I said, ooh, girl. This is when things kind of got real. So basically, Erica told Dorit like the cold, hard facts. They're talking about PK. They're talking about this email that he sent to her where he was like dragging her name through the mud and really like basically saying, girl, if you don't comply with my demands, I'm getting a divorce and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. So then Kathy was like, that doesn't sound like a separation. That sounds like a divorce. And they're like, yeah. And so then, Kathy threw shade at PK saying, when I first met him, I thought he was 56 because he's 56 now. They laughed about that. Then Erica says, you know what, Dorit, I'm going to be honest with you. and you might not like this, but I wouldn't be a good friend if I didn't tell you this. So she basically was like, what are you waiting for? Like, what needs to happen for you to start preparing for a life beyond PK? And she's just like, I don't really know. So then Bose ends up asking her, so do you think he still wants to be married to you? And she says no. So then Erica reiterates again, what you waiting for, girl? What you waiting for? So then Dorit says, I'm just being stupid right now. Like, I'm being that stereotypical, like, doe-eyed idiot wife right now. And they're like, no, you're not an idiot. You're just taking off the rose-colored glasses. And so then Dorit says, that translates to me as an idiot, guys. Like, what are we talking about? So then she ends up saying that she heard about this new law that she just found out. So in the state of California, if you are married for 10 years, Erica ends up explaining it's called a long-term marriage, where the person will get half, like, no matter when y'all divorce, you will get half of that person's whatever. And somebody will be responsible for paying for alimony until the other person passes away. So then I think it was Bose says, so when did y'all hit y'all 10-year like mark? And then Dorit was like, in 6 months. And Bose is like, you lying. You are lying to me right now. And so he pretty much is jumping ship before he has to pay anything or really has to like give her any of his money. So Erica just tells Dorit, girl, it's time for you to like get real. Get for real. Like, if he don't want to be with you, then it's time for you to be prepared for whatever is to come. And she says, I'm saying this right now. I got chills on my body because I didn't do this when I had the chance to. I was paralyzed by fear and I waited too long to start doing something. And I'm trying to tell you now, girl, you need to wake up and you need to be prepared for whatever he's trying to do or whatever he will do. So then Dorit says in her confessional, if I gotta go to war, I will go to war. And once I get in that headspace, there's no turning back. But then Dorit at the table ends up saying, but what if I'm not ready to let it go? And they just kind of look at her like, well, girl, you don't get to say so. At this point, if he ready to let it go, he ready to let it go. And that's the part about this that's kind of weird to me. Is like, if PK is this horrible father, he's this drunk, he's not very nice to you, why are we holding on? Why? At this, like, girl, he filed them separation papers. The moment I would have got them papers, I'd have been contacting a divorce lawyer just so I could have that person in the pocket ready for whatever. So when you serve me them papers, it get real. Because what you're not about to do is catch me off guard. Same with Kyle. Kyle needs to get it together. Like Sutton says, girl, I think it's time for you to file. Like, let's be real about this. And I don't know. I've seen so many different theories when it comes to Kyle and Dorit. I've seen some people say they feel like Dorit and PK's whole storyline is fake. I've seen some other people feel like maybe Kyle and Mauricio's storyline in the beginning was fake, but they ended up liking being separate, and Mauricio liked them more than not. And maybe this is a soft launch for them to be in an open marriage. I don't know. All I know is you always want to be prepared for the worst, because you never know. Like, people start to legit change when it's time to do a divorce. I don't know. It's like a switch clicks off on people. No matter if they're male or female or anything in between, people get real ruthless in divorces. I watch Snapped. Okay, them ladies be taking their husbands out when they be filing for divorce. And we know men will do the same to their wives. So I'm just like, if anything, be prepared for the worst. Like they always say, plan for the worst, hope for the best. But at least you are prepared. And this whole like waiting for the men to do something, girl, stop being stupid and get ready. Get ready. Especially more so for Dorit, because girl, you have 2 children. 2 kids who are not even high schoolers yet. I think her kids are still like maybe in elementary school. At least Kyle's daughter, her youngest daughter, is about to go to college in like 3 or 4 years. Girl, if you don't put a plan in action, put a plan in action. Y'all, that is it. That is all. And as always, remember to be bravely authentic. Definitely hop down in the comments below. Share your thoughts with me and subscribe. And like the video. And I'm out, y'all. Deuces.